I love to live this life without any pain, and I've not been feeling any pain, which I'm grateful for and I'm happy for. But that's friends, welcome back to the Francescan Disorder. And if you've just stumbled upon me or bumped into me for the first time, please consider being a friend by subscribing. If you've seen my first video, I'm going to insert the problem part of it, how I got here part of it. So I'll insert that now.
Yeah, adding that bit here will make this one too long. However, go back to the video just before this one and watch it because it's really, really insightful and you'll catch up nicely up to this point.
So that was, the problem with the tooth. The first video tells you all about the first one, how I, just the step-by-step process. And now this second video is where we're going to talk about the part 2, which is where they put me under to do the surgery. So after the first surgery, the doctor booked me in to come back and see him for post-surgery to see how I've recovered, which I did go to see him, and he looked at it, said everything was going okay. One thing I forgot to say is that after I had the first surgery, in the second week after I had the first surgery, this problem, the problem wisdom tooth, started again. So it had swollen up, it had gotten infected. I was still dealing with this pain. I still had the stitches. I booked an emergency appointment with the dentist. Oh, by the way, they gave me antibiotics to take home from the first one. I'd finished the antibiotics. So I don't know how I got an infection in the middle of taking antibiotics, but that happens. Life happens. Anyway, so I then booked an emergency appointment with the dentist. She looked at it. It was the woman that was around this time around. She looked at it and then she prescribed antibiotics for me. That's the problem with wisdom teeth is when they inflame and start hurting you, when whatever aggravates them, the only thing that they can really prescribe is antibiotics. And you don't want to be taking antibiotics back to back. It's really not advisable at all. So she looked at it and prescribed antibiotics for me, which I went home and took, and everything was okay. Anyway, then the doctor, I went back for recovery update or recovery checkup, and he looked at it and he was like, yeah, he's happy, everything is going fine, he thinks everything is all right. Now I was told to wait. They were going to send me a schedule or an invitation to come for my second one, depending on how busy they were. Remember that the second one, or after the first one, he then, on that day, because he wanted to take out the 2 in one day and took more time, double the time he said he would take out the 2, he used double that time to take out just one. He then put me in for general anesthesia, where he said, look, I need to go under to take out the second one because of how problematic the first one was for both of us. So I was then waiting for the hospital to call me, and then they called me and tried to offer me a date before Christmas. I was like, no, I'm not going to take that date. So they were like, okay, we're gonna call you back. And then they called me again and offered me another date, which was straight after Christmas. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna take it. So yeah, I took that date for straight after Christmas, 72 hours to the time of my surgery. Oh, before the surgery, they asked me to come into the hospital so that they take my blood. All of this was being done because I was going under. So they took my blood to check for the things that they normally check for. They checked my weight, checked my blood pressure, just did, just their general checks for pre-surgery checks, really. So they did all those pre-surgery checks, and then I went home and they said they would call me 72 hours to the surgery to tell me what I need to do. They called me 72 hours to the surgery and said I needed to not eat anything before 6, was it 6?
6 a.m. was the last time you could eat.
Yeah, 6 a.m. was the last time I could eat. and I could drink until 6:15. Was it?
I think it was a bit later than that.
Yeah, I could drink until 10. So 6 a.m. was the last time I could eat, but I could drink until 10, and I could drink until 10, and the only thing I could drink was clear water. Yeah, I'm just making sure that I have things right. Anyway, so I did that for them, and then I went to so they said to bring a, pair of slippers if you want. They'll give you socks, they'll give you hospital gown, and they'll give you the hospital robe. So they'll give you a dressing gown and they'll give you the hospital robe. So I packed my things and went to the doctors. So what time did they ask me to arrive? 7 a.m? No, it was 9. Yeah, they asked me to arrive at 9 a.m. So I arrived.
It was later than 9 a.m.
Was it later?
I thought it was like 11.
Oh, don't remember anymore. Oh yeah, it was 11. They asked me to arrive at 11 a.m. So I arrived at 11 a.m. and registered myself with the receptionist, told them I was here. And then a nurse came and she came with a list of people and took me and other people into the theater area. The hubs was not allowed to come in this time around, so that's my support system gone. Anyway, so we all go into the waiting area. They bring a box and ask you to remove the clothes that you came with, and in that box there is the hospital gown, and then there is a toweling robe, like a bathrobe, and they ask you to put all your things into that box, and it has like this ziplock, not ziplock. What's that thing called? What's that thing called?
What's it?
Zip tie. Is it zip tie? Yeah. It has that zip tie thing on it, so they ask you to put your things in it and lock it with the zip tie. So I put my things in it and I locked it with the zip tie. So whilst I was there, I had like at least 3 persons coming at different times to do all the pre-surgery checks, ask me, am I pregnant? Am I, any chance I could be pregnant, which I've answered before. They just do it, double check. When was the last time I ate? When was the last time I drank? What did I drink? Just ask me different questions. They took my blood pressure again. So yeah, the nurse asked me, the anesthesiologist asked me, and then the actual doctor, the surgeon, came there, introduced himself to me, when the anesthesiologist came in, he also everybody that came introduced themselves to me, but the most important person to introduce himself to me was the doctor, who said, I'll be your surgeon for today, I'll be looking after you. Well, no, the nurse said I'll be looking after you, the doctor said I'll be your surgeon for today. And so it wasn't the first surgeon, it was a different surgeon this time around. But this surgeon, he was very jolly. He was really, really, and I'm like, does this man know that I'm afraid, I'm worried? So anyway, he introduced himself, then came back and did all the pre-surgery checks and left. And when it was time, they didn't wheel me. They asked me to follow them, so I followed them and I went into the theater. So there's a theater. There's a room before the theater. The room before the theater is where they put you to sleep. This is the first time in my life I have ever been put to sleep. Before my wisdom tooth, I've never had any issues where I had to be admitted in hospital or anything. But this is the first time in my life I had to be put up. Not that I know of anyway, maybe I had when I was younger and under my mother's care, I don't remember. But yeah. So I'm thinking what was being said to me when I was being put to sleep. Also, I laid there and then he put the cannula in my hand, and he was just talking to me. He was saying, I don't know what I was even asked. I don't remember he asked me, what would you normally be doing today? I think it was a Thursday. And he goes, what would you normally be doing today? So I told him, my job, what I normally do. And then he goes, oh, that's nice. And then he asked me, do you know if you have sickle cell? And I was like, or do you know if you're a carrier or something like that? And I was like, no. And he goes, have you checked? And I was like, yeah, I've checked actually. So that's the last thing I remember. And then, yeah, I don't remember anything else. All I remember was that after that, I woke up and I was like, I don't know. Okay. All I remember after that was I woke up and someone was in my face like this. He was in my face, like he was smiling, and he was like, Francesca, are you okay? And I was like, I was very confused. No, he didn't say, Francesca, are you okay? He went, you are awake. Francesca? I was like, yeah. And he goes, are you okay? I was like, yeah, where am I? So he said, yeah, where am I? What's happening? And then he goes, you've just had surgery. You're in the recovery room. And then, I don't know, immediately I asked where I was. I actually did remember where I was just as soon as I asked. But yeah, that initial confusion. So he asked me if I was okay. And I was like, I then started touching myself to see if I was okay. And I was like, yeah, my face. And then he goes, yeah, you can't talk. You just had surgery. And then I then realized that I had a sore throat. So I was like, actually, I have a sore throat. I said, why is my throat hurting? Then he said to me, because we had to pass, that's where we pass the pipe into your throat for oxygen. So yeah, that was just like the first thing that happened. And I then asked him for a spitting bowl because I just felt like everything was coming out of my mouth. So I asked for a spitting bowl. He gave me a spitting bowl and I kept spitting inside, and he kept like watching me until he was sure that I was okay. He then wheeled me in the bed to the recovery. So I was in the recovery room. They brought me pain medication, brought me, everything, water. Yeah, the nurse asked me if I wanted milkshake. They had different types of milkshake. I went for chocolate milkshake, and then I don't know why they gave me that, because I wasn't supposed to drink. Okay, I was only supposed to drink cold things, and it was cold. Yeah, so yeah, it was okay to give me that. So, and then she gave me all the pain medication, told me how I needed to take them, and she said I can rest a bit. I was like, no, I'm not resting. I just stood up and packed all my bags and wore my clothes. I didn't want to stay there 1 minute more. I just stood up, packed all my bags, wore my clothes, called my husband and said, come and pick me up. And the hubs arrived and picked me up, and then we came home. Now, bear in mind, because I went under, I couldn't feel the pain yet. I was holding my phone at the start of this video because I told you I had a diary, look. Yeah. I wrote everything. I kept writing, like, as I was progressing, I was writing. But however, I can see from here that I did day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4, and I stopped doing it. So yeah, the things that I wrote on the actual day of the surgery, I had itchy jaws. My jaw was itchy. My actual tongue was numb. I still had sore throats. And the actual extraction site was still feeling weird, but not unbearably painful on that first day, because all that general anesthetic that they gave me was still working, was still active. But on that day, I didn't notice that I wasn't given any antibiotics. So it's like, what's up? Anyway. At 12 a.m., I was now in pain, but the pain was still not as much, because I wrote in pain now, but not as much as I thought. In pain now, but not as much as I thought, or as much as I know it could be from the first experience. And I could feel the pain. I could still feel the pain, like, building as the anesthesia was wearing off. This was 12 a.m. And I then had to medicate myself, the same dosage as I was given at the hospital just before I came back. And then the next day, I woke up at 4:30 a.m. by my alarm, which I forgot to disable. And don't ask me why I have a 4:30 a.m. alarm. But the pain was not unbearable. Yeah, but then I had taken pain medication like 4 hours before. But on that day, as the day progressed, I had crazy hiccups, very crazy hiccups. I just kept getting, like, yeah, very crazy hiccups. I'll drink water and it will start again. So I wrote here that I'm wondering if it was because of the pipe that was passed through my throat, and I wrote here no unbearable pain most of the day, and I couldn't eat. Oh, by the way, I didn't eat until 9 p.m. and when I ate, what have I written here? I didn't eat until 9 p.m. but I didn't write what I ate. So what did I eat? I was eating rice pudding, and I still hate rice pudding from these 2 surgeries. I still don't like it.
You used to like it?
I used to, but since after my surgeries, because it was... Sorry?
I would buy it for you again.
It's the only thing that I could eat throughout my surgeries, so I ate it to a disgusting extent. Okay, oh, I was also still, this time around, I was also still sitting up to sleep. Yeah, I wrote here, pain ensued after, and I had to medicate at 4 a.m. as I couldn't sleep and still barely only had 2 hours of sleep. Yeah, so on the 3rd day, my swollen face was still itchy. I tried on the 3rd day to open my mouth and look at my thing. I put in brackets here, without success. And then I wrote here, I can't stop laughing when I catch myself in the mirror because WTF is this face? Yeah, my face was swollen. And it wasn't just swollen. How does this place, like the tooth is there. How does everything just swell up and my face is like almost as if it's falling? It's crazy, but yeah, it was really funny to look at myself in the mirror. Oh god. Okay, so and then I said medicine at 1 p.m. because in so much pain. I was in real pain, and then I was nauseous at 4 p.m. And I was very hungry, but I was too nauseous to eat. And I tried to relax and felt sleepy again, but nausea wouldn't let me sleep. And I put here, I watched fireworks and managed to get a bit of sleep because it was New Year's Eve. And I managed to get a bit of sleep. And then on New Year's Day, I wrote here, woke up in severe pain, noticed that I can hold a very mild bite now. Good news. That's the day I stopped. However, recovery from this second one wasn't as bad as the first one, if I do say so myself. Yeah, that's itchy jaw, it stopped in not so long. And I didn't feel, like the numbness that I felt from the first time, I didn't feel it. So the doctor told me that the first time there was a bit of injury to my nerve, which is very dangerous. One thing I forgot to say though is on the second one, when I woke up at recovery, the doctor came to see me when I was recovering and said, "Hi, you're awake, how are you?" I'm like, "I'm fine, thank you." And I'm like, "How was the surgery?" And he goes, "It was really, really hard." So yeah, that's all he said to me. He said it was really, really hard, but you're okay now. Yeah, so that's what I have to say. It was later that I then looked at because they gave you a summary of your treatment of what was done where they write. It was later that I looked at it and I saw that they did more than just extract that tooth. So there were other things that I cannot explain. They did something with buccal flap or whatever. There were other things that they did there that was, I feel like the difficulty that this other surgeon had when he did this one is kind of the same difficulty here, but ×2, because this was a problematic one. Yeah, ×2 of that on this one, but I was asleep, so good thing I didn't feel a thing. Anyway, yeah, but the nerve on this side was not damaged, the nerve is not damaged, it was just a little bit injured. Yeah, the nerve on this side was not injured at all, so the recovery was quicker with it. What else did I feel? Yeah, I've said nausea with the pain relief. I think that's all. Also, this one, it healed really quickly. Oh, why am I saying it healed really quickly? Do you remember we had to go back to the hospital? Yeah. So there was something weird with this one. I had a discharge, a very weird discharge. If I think about it now, and if you think, is it still disturbing if you think about it? No. I had a very weird discharge from the surgery site on this side. I called the hubs. It was the hubs that looked at it. I was like, come and look into my mouth. And he kept telling me, it looks okay, it looks okay. So I waited until I felt that discharge was coming again. So I called him this time around. I was like, come and look into my mouth. So I opened my mouth and I showed him that discharge and he was grossed out. I don't know how that man still kisses me. So he was really grossed out. So we had to call the hospital and then they asked us to come in. So we popped in and went to see, it was a different dentist. This dentist, I just had surgery 2 days ago. Why are you dragging my mouth? He was like pulling my mouth, looking into it, pressing my face. So when he pressed and it fit me, I slapped his hand. It was reflex, obviously, but I did slap his hand out of my face. And he goes, oh. So that I'll stop if you want me to, but I really have to look at it. But yeah, I eventually allowed him to look at it. He looked at it and he did what did he call it? What did he call that thing that he did?
I don't know.
Yeah, he did something to it and said he's like kind of cleaned up the sites now. And then it was now that he gave me antibiotics, and he didn't even give me he didn't give me a full course. He gave me a course, but not a full course of antibiotics. But that's about it. And then, you know, I proceeded to heal normally. With this one, it lasted up to 3 weeks. This one lasted like 14 days, 15 days, and everything was okay. But it was not as bad as this one. With this one, yeah, I don't want to remember this one. It just wasn't as bad as this one. All that pain that I was, with this one, I said this place was rock hard. With this one, it wasn't rock hard at all. It just healed normally, like a normal human being. But that is the end of my wisdom tooth surgery. Yeah, that's the end of that one. Is there anything I need to say? What is the difference between wisdom tooth, like the difference between wisdom tooth under local and wisdom tooth under general anesthesia? I would highly recommend wisdom tooth under general anesthesia. I don't know why I did local. Again, remember, the reason I had to go under is because of the interaction of my tooth with the nerve, and most people have their wisdom tooth taken out at the dentist, but my dentist said no. And my dentist also said he only wanted me to go to the NHS to do it under the NHS, so he referred me to the NHS. My dentist said it was too dangerous to do it at his seat, so you probably will not have my experience. I don't want to scarecrow anybody into not doing the surgery. If you need to take out your wisdom tooth, take it out. Okay, life after both wisdom tooth have been taken out of my life. Perfect, excellent. Like, I love to live this life without any pain, and I've not been feeling any pain, which I'm grateful for and I'm happy for. But I don't think I have anything else to add. Yeah, Hells is shaking his head as well. We don't have anything else to add. Yeah, that's it. I think I may have forgotten a lot of things, but it's been nearly a year since I had those 2 surgeries, so forgive me. If you have any questions, ask me in the comment section. If I remember anything, I'm going to write it in the comments and pin it as well. But for now, goodbye. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, send this video to anybody that you know. That if you have teeth, send this video. If you have teeth, like this video and share it, and please subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. We won't be talking about teeth anymore. Bye.